You and I, we make decisions all day long, hundreds of them. But what if you had a secret weapon? A set of powerful thinking tools to make those decisions better, sharper, and way more successful. Well, today, we're going to build that mental toolbox.
Seriously, think about it for a second. That project that just went completely sideways, maybe that investment that soured, or that one conversation you just wish you could have back. We've all been there, right? That sinking feeling is universal. But the way we approach the next big decision, that doesn't have to be.
You know, most of us are just running on our brain's default settings. Gut instinct, old habits, maybe a little bit of luck if we're fortunate. But here's the thing. The world's most effective thinkers, the real innovators, they don't leave things to chance. They make a conscious choice to upgrade their mental software.
And the way they do it is by using something called mental models. A mental model is really just a framework, kind of like a thinking map that helps you see a problem from a totally different and usually much more powerful angle. It's how you cut through all the noise and get right to the heart of what really matters.
So you ready for that upgrade? Let's dive in and break down 3 incredibly powerful mental models that top strategists and innovators use to make winning choices time and time again.
All right, our first tool. It sounds a little strange, I'll admit. Instead of obsessing over how to win, we're actually going to focus on how not to lose.
This is a brilliant little concept called inversion. It's so simple, you just flip the problem completely on its head. So instead of asking, how can I succeed? You ask the opposite question. What would absolutely positively guarantee my failure? Then you just don't do those things.
And this really gets to the heart of it. It's often so much easier to avoid doing something dumb than it is to force yourself to be brilliant. Sometimes the most effective path to success is just removing all the obstacles that are in your way.
Let's make this super practical. Imagine you have a huge presentation tomorrow. Instead of asking, how can I be amazing, you use inversion. You ask, what would make this an absolute train wreck? Well, that's easy. You could show up unprepared, use horribly cluttered slides, speak like a robot, not check if your laptop connects to the projector, and completely ignore your audience. All of a sudden, you have this crystal clear checklist of what not to do. And by just avoiding those pitfalls, you've already massively increased your odds of success.
Okay, tool number 1 is in the box. Let's grab our second tool. This one is all about deconstruction, about taking things apart and building them back up from scratch. This is called first principles thinking. It is the exact opposite of what most of us do most of the time, which is called reasoning by analogy. That's just a fancy way of saying copying what other people do. First principles thinking forces you to break a problem all the way down to its most basic, undeniable truths, the first principles, and then build your solution up from there.
And this just reveals such a fundamental difference in how you approach things. Reasoning by analogy is safe, it's comfortable, it's just following the crowd. But first principles thinking, that's where true innovation comes from. It's about ignoring the way things have always been done, and instead asking what is actually possible here.
The classic example, of course, is how Elon Musk looked at rockets. The problem was obvious. Rockets were astronomically expensive. But instead of just accepting that, he deconstructed the problem. He said, okay, a rocket isn't just a price tag. It's a collection of raw materials. So, step 2, what are the fundamental parts made of? Aluminum, titanium, copper. He priced out the raw materials and realized their cost was only a tiny fraction of the final price. And from that fundamental truth, he rebuilt a solution from the ground up. And, well, we got SpaceX.
Okay, that brings us to our final tool. And this one's a little different. It's not about how you analyze the world outside. It's about how you analyze yourself. It's called the circle of competence. The whole idea is to be brutally honest with yourself and define the boundaries of your own knowledge. What do you truly understand deeply? That's your circle. And here's the key. The goal isn't to have the biggest circle. The goal is to know exactly where the edges are and to have the discipline to only make your big, high-stakes decisions inside it.
This is really a game of intellectual humility. For years, Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time, famously avoided tech stocks. Why? It wasn't because he thought they were bad companies, it was because he was honest enough to say, that's outside my circle of competence. That single act of discipline saved him from the catastrophic dot-com bubble.
His power came from knowing his own limits.
Look at it this way. Most of the world exists in that huge outer ring, the stuff you don't know. And that is perfectly okay. Your real power, your competitive edge, comes from operating with absolute confidence and precision inside that small, well-defined inner circle.
So there you have it. 3 incredibly powerful tools, tested and proven at the highest levels of business and innovation, now sitting right there in your mental toolbox, ready for you to use.
So let's do a quick-fire recap. For any big decision you're facing, you now have 3 killer questions in your back pocket. To avoid a disaster, you ask, what would guarantee my failure? To truly innovate, you ask, what are the fundamental truths here? And to play to your strengths, you ask, is this really within my area of expertise?
Now remember, this isn't about finding some magic formula that gives you perfect decisions every time. That doesn't exist. It's about building a system that helps you manage complexity, reduce those catastrophic errors, and dramatically, consistently increase your odds of long-term success.
Because you know it is. A big decision is always just around the corner, whether it's in your career, your finances, or your personal life. So the only real question now is, which one of these new tools are you going to pick up and put to work?